Ladies and gentlemen, I'm back once again. WWE Smackdown. I'm here with the top takeaways. I have 7 takeaways this time. I'm about to break it all down. Feel free to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell to be notified of every video that I make. Excuse me. If you like wrestling reviews every week, top takeaways, feel free to hit that subscribe button. So we're about to hop right on into this. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. I'm going to get right on into it. Cut the fluff. I'm going to cut the fluff. I'm going to get right on into these takeaways and get on them, get out and make it quick. So, the first takeaway that I have is KO is back, baby. Look, Shane McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, they were in the ring with Daniel Bryan and Rowan. We had a contract signing. And we started with Shane McMahon and Stephanie McMahon. They were listing the accomplishments of Kofi Kingston. And Shane McMahon was going through his accomplishments like we had never heard of Kofi Kingston. The man said he was an 11-year overnight success. An 11-year overnight success. Who knew that existed? So he's running down all these accomplishments. And I'm like, we know Shane. We know that Kofi is a part of the New Day. We know that he was a former Intercontinental Champion. We know the guy. So Kofi Kingston comes down. He's with Big E. He's with Xavier Woods. And I gotta say that as far as it pertains to Kofi chasing the championship, I don't think Big E and Xavier Woods is really needed in this instance. It should really be just Kofi. And eventually, I think it's going to be just Kofi. I'm going to get into that. So, Kofi said that he would take down Daniel Bryan. Before Kofi really got into his promo, he signed the contract and things were about to heat up. We heard Vincent Kennedy McMahon's music and my head just popped up. So Vince comes down. He talks about how he owes it to the fans to give the best main event possible at Fastlane and that Kofi was not up to par, so that he needed someone that was up to par. So he brought out Kevin Owens, the guy that was replacing Kofi Kingston. And I gotta say, right in the moment, I didn't like Vince McMahon's promo. Knowing what I know and knowing how I feel about WWE and black champions in WWE, like, in the moment, I was like, I get what they're doing, but they should have just had another way. They could have had another way to do this. Like, you didn't have to say that Kofi Kingston wasn't good enough. And like, it just made my skin crawl for a minute. And like, I get what they're going for. Okay, we got we got Kevin Owens and Daniel Bryan at Fastlane. Obviously, Kofi Kingston is going to get involved in this thing, and he's going to get involved in this thing at WrestleMania. If it's me, look, Kevin Owens is going to be playing the face role at Fastlane. You could have not had the McMahons involved whatsoever. You should have had Daniel Bryan injure Kofi Kingston. You have KO make the save on Kofi Kingston's behalf. And we can run this storyline just like that. The fans cheer KO because he's helping out Kofi Kingston. You don't have to worry about the fans' backlash or possible backlash at Fastlane because you never know how they're going to react. I'm pretty sure they won't boo Kevin Owens, but they just, like I said on Twitter, they just might boo the situation. We've seen this happen before. So I don't like the fact that this was the way you brought down Kevin Owens, presumably as a face. And from there, we had Xavier Woods. We had a Big E. They were chirping at Shane. They were chirping at Stephanie, chirping at Vince, talking about how Kofi Kingston's been there for 11 years and how he didn't deserve this. So, after that, we had KO in the back. And he talked about the situation, how it was a tough situation, how he wanted a tag match. Him and Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan. We will see how this situation turns out going forward. So my next takeaway is that Matt Hardy is back, baby. And man, If I'm not mistaken, it was either Cesaro or Sheamus versus Gargano that was scheduled, but we heard the Hardy Boys theme come on, and it's like, whoa, what's going on here? And out comes Jeff, and out comes Matt. And I gotta say, man, Matt is looking slimmer than he has ever been. He looks like the Matt Hardy from 10 years or so ago. So he comes down, and he looks great, man. What we got was a decent match. We got some classic Hardy Boys spots. We got Jeff jumping off Matt with a tope over the ropes. It was a pretty good match. It would end with a twist of fate, and would end with Jeff Hardy going up top for the Swanton Bomb for the 1, 2, 3. So the Hardy Boys are back. How about that? I'm very interested. And they're back in the tag team division. SmackDown's tag team division is stacked. If they ever use it right, it is supremely stacked. So, my next takeaway was the R-Truth Open Challenge. It was very interesting. So R-Truth came out. He said he wanted to pay homage to his hero, John Cena, which is kind of funny. And he wanted to do the US Open Challenge. So, Andrade Almas came down, and then Rey Mysterio came down right after him and clubbed him over the head, which is pretty funny. And we had two guys facing off with R-Truth. He didn't know what to do. Carmella said that John Cena would take on both guys. R-Truth had the line of the night. Man, he brave. And the crowd just bursted out laughing, which I thought was pretty funny as well. So R-Truth did it anyways. We had ourselves a three-way match, and it was a fantastic three-way match, to say that it didn't get a ton of time, but it got enough time to where you got really invested toward the match. We had a 6 spot. Rey Mysterio goes for the slide under the ropes, and he gets drop kicked by Andrade Almas, which was a fantastic spot. Andrade Almas and Rey Mysterio, first of all, they just have phenomenal chemistry. And I really think it's going to be Andrade Almas and Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania, possibly for the U.S. title as well. So this was a fantastic match. Even Carmella and Selena got involved. I like the fact that they didn't place their involvement as part of the finish of the match. R-Truth would get the roll up on Rey Mysterio for the win. This was a fantastic match, and presumably, with the way things ended, I could see a rematch going down of some sorts going down at WWE Fastlane. So after the match, Andrade went for the Hammerlock DDT on Rey Mysterio, and he countered that. He went for the 619. He didn't hit, and like I said, this will go down at WrestleMania. So next up, my next takeaway, third takeaway, is a convoluted build. So we had Charlotte Flair come out, and she healed it up really well. Talked about how Kevin Owens would replace Kofi. They got massive boos. She got some heat off of that. And she talked about how Ronda Rousey laid down the belt. Becky Lynch got arrested. She talked about how they were afraid of Charlotte Flair. I didn't too much have a problem with that, because, you know, she's a heel. You can kind of have your own logic most of the time when you're a heel. So after that, she played a Ronda Rousey video package, to which it was like, I saw that and I was like, ooh, Ronda, there's no coming back from that. Ronda was talking about how, you know, what it takes to be a real champion. And the real champion just doesn't leave their responsibilities. And I guess Ronda Rousey's not a real champion anymore. She left her responsibilities. And the one thing I found strange about all this is Charlotte Flair said that she would go on Raw and have Vince McMahon hand her the title. And I mean, Vince McMahon was backstage. Stephanie was backstage. Like, couldn't she just come out to Tuesday night and say, crown me the champion right now? Like, that's a little bit of a plot hole that I look at and I'm like, yeah, really? But overall, we have this convoluted build, and I'm going to keep saying this until we get to WrestleMania. They had what they needed. Becky Lynch, who wants to be the man again, versus Ronda Rousey, who was quote-unquote the man. And it was a very simple storyline. And now we have what we have. And I will always say this again, the apex of this build, we will forever look at this and say that the apex of the build was when Ronda Rousey faced off with Becky Lynch and the crowd was just rumbling and roaring for it. That will forever be the apex of the build. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens Monday night. So my next takeaway is Aleister Black and Ricochet again. I mean, look, I have no problems with Ricochet and Aleister Black. In fact, I'm a huge fan of the guys. But when you stick them in a tag team, they take away from each other. And I say that because if these guys would have had singular debuts, it would have been a much bigger deal than what we are getting now. They kind of feel like just guys of the roster instead of special deals, to be honest with you. What we got was a fantastic tag team matchup. Shinsuke Nakamura and Rusev versus Ricochet and Aleister Black. I have no idea what's going on with Nakamura and Rusev. Like, they're feuding one week and then the very same night they're a tag team, and it's like they have nothing for these guys. It was a fantastic tag match, to be honest. When you get those four guys in the ring, it's going to be a really good tag match. I enjoyed it. The goal of the match was to make Aleister Black and Ricochet look good, and they did just that. Ricochet in these hot tags, he looked phenomenal. Like I've always said, with Ricochet, at the least, that is the Ricochet that I know. They have been phenomenal in presenting his athletic side, and they've done a good job with that. Aleister Black would pick up the win with the Black Mask, but I gotta say, I really feel that they should have debuted these guys one by one. After WrestleMania, these guys are gonna get caught in the WrestleMania build. I can guarantee that. So we'll see how it all goes going forward. So my next takeaway here is AJ and Randy Orton at WrestleMania. AJ was backstage talking about how he had to dust himself off and how he had to be ready for the next challenger and how he built up Daniel Bryan because he couldn't get the job done. And he said that this was the house that AJ Styles built. So that brought out Randy Orton. And he got into AJ Styles' face and he said, "The house that AJ what?" And he walked off. So I can only presumably think that it's going to be AJ Styles versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania. And I got to say, it's not quite the match that I want, but I understand the fact that they can't do much else with AJ Styles. I mean, for years, there was the rumor that it would be AJ Styles versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania, and it looks like that has fallen through for another year yet again. So I get it. AJ Styles and Orton is practically the only way that they can go. You can't go AJ Styles and Samoa Joe again. We've done that countless times. And there's not much after that for AJ Styles. So AJ Styles and Randy Orton, I'm not all that excited about it. I don't have a takeaway for Lacey Evans today because she just walked out and walked back in. She did the Simpsons GIF. So that's all I got for that. So my last takeaway is we got a very good main event. One that I really enjoyed. So Kevin Owens, Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan and Rowan. I enjoyed this main event. Kevin Owens looked really good, I gotta say. He looked like a guy that had missed no time whatsoever, to be honest with you. I enjoyed him in the ring tonight. The match picked up really well when Bryan locked in the LaBelle lock on Kofi. Kofi would escape. They had the crowd really invested into this one. Kevin Owens would get the hot tag and run wild on Daniel Bryan. And it really picked up when Kofi did the quote-unquote trust fall on Rowan. I really don't have another name for that, but that's what I'm calling it from here on in. because it looks like a big trust fall. Like I'm gonna fall backwards and you please catch me, or else I'm gonna hit my head on the mat. But this match was really well done. It would end as KO would hit the Stone Cold Stunner on Daniel Bryan for the 3 count. I gotta say, I like the stunner for the win, but I don't like Daniel Bryan taking the loss clean. Rowan should be taking the loss here because I gotta compare this to Impact Wrestling. Their champion, Impact Wrestling champion, Johnny Impact, had been taking a wee bit too many clean losses for me. And that's where Daniel Bryan is. Johnny Impact took so many losses to where he needed a big win to build himself back up. And he eventually got that big win. Daniel Bryan needs some type of big win to build him back up. And presumably you would think that would come at WWE Fastlane. But I don't know how that's going to go down. I think eventually KO is going to have, by the time Fastlane ends, Kevin Owens is going to have a claim for a rematch. Something's going to go down, and Kevin Owens is going to be asking for a rematch. And at the end of the day, Daniel Bryan needs some type of big win, because if you keep having him lose, you're going to take away from the moment when he actually loses the title. Otherwise, this was a fantastic tag team matchup. And a fantastic SmackDown overall. In my opinion, it was better overall than Monday Night Raw this week. I enjoyed it from top to bottom. So let me know your thoughts on YouTube, whether it be YouTube, whether that be in the YouTube comments or on Twitter at 2SweetPod. That's the number 2, Sweet Pod, or at OMG Corey B. Let me know all of your SmackDown thoughts. And if you have a wrestling opinion or thoughts, I will reply to all wrestling replies. So let me know your thoughts.